There's a lot of hype around these new automatic drying machines, and we all know that drying is where you can make or break your harvest. So should you risk it with one of these machines? Come on, let's get into it. But before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Grow Dots, the easiest way to feed your high-value plants. You mix Grow Dots in once at the beginning of your grow, and they feed your plants all the way to harvest. You don't have to worry about nutrient burn or nutrient lockout. Grow Dots does all the hard work for you. Check them out over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, Hassie, you want to jump into it?
Yeah, man, I see we've got a visual prop for the episode today.
Yeah, man, the Herbs Now dryer, and I promise I won't let this sway me, but what made me want to talk about this is I went into the warehouse a couple days ago, and Warehouse Kyle was like, hey, you got a package. So they sent me one of these Herbs Now dryers for my evaluation. I'll evaluate it, okay? But I made a post about these, or I made a video about these, I don't know, a couple of years ago on another channel, and I was poking fun of them.
There's a couple of years ago?
Was it? How long? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on, all right? I'll have to look at my hairline to see how long ago it was. It was a while ago, and everybody came back and was like, not everybody. I was surprised that there was people that said, I like my Herbs Now dryer. There's a couple other brands. I'm not just showing for these guys, but they were like, hey, I like them. And it did make me think, because it looks like a food dehydrator, man. I've dehydrated buds before. No, it doesn't work. So let's get into it. We'll figure it out.
Okay, let's actually start there. It does look like a food dehydrator. What makes it different?
Hang on, I got to ask in the comments, has anybody else tried a food dehydrator or dehydrate their first harvest? Because I sure have. It's like, oh, I want to smoke this. And oh, it'll ruin it, man. A food dehydrator, I think, goes up to, what, 120 degrees, 130 degrees, something like that. It gets a little bit higher temperature. I guess this is just like a re-engineered one that keeps the temperatures down lower. And it seems to do an okay job at drying. I'll say, I don't want to say I haven't used one, but from the comments, people say it does a good job of drying. Notice I said drying, though. Drying is just removing most of the water from that plant material. You want maybe 20% moisture in there still. You want enough moisture to where the stem's not just snapping. You know, it's almost snapping, and that's when you do the cure. So the drying is supposed to remove the lion's share of the moisture, and then you have to leave a little bit of moisture in there because there's enzymatic activity that goes on where the enzymes slowly break down the chlorophyll. You can't dry out. If you dry out those enzymes, they're no longer, I don't know if you kill them, I don't know if they're alive or not, but they no longer work. So you have to keep these enzymes hydrated. So if you just dry your cannabis bone dry, then you're not going to be able to cure it. And that's where the real magic happens, is in the cure. So to think that this might pull the lion's share of the moisture out in a few days, it's not that shocking.
Okay, you're talking about enzymes breaking down the chlorophyll.
Sure.
What is that? What's going on there, and why does that matter?
It's the that affects the taste. The chlorophyll, you ever have that green, grassy kind of hay taste?
Yeah.
That's the chlorophyll not being broken down. You're still smoking that chlorophyll.
Oh, so if you dry too fast or you don't cure, it doesn't give it the chance to break that down, get rid of that grassy taste.
That chlorophyll takes a while to break down. It's not going to break down in 2 or 3 days. So what you got to do is dry it to get all that 75%, I'll say, of the moisture, we'll just use a round number. And then that last 25% or so, you're slowly letting it, you're burping the jars every day. You're slowly removing some of that last little bit of moisture, and you're allowing it to do its thing, its enzymatic activity, and continue to break down the chlorophyll. They'll talk about doing this for, I don't see any reason to do it for more than a month, but people will do it for months.
So these fast drying machines, they'll cut down the time that it takes to dry.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything for the actual cure process.
No. So I would say you probably aren't, I mean, I'm sure you could take it out and, after 96 hours or 72 hours and smoke it, but it's not going to be, you still have another step. And that step is putting it in a jar, in a bucket, whatever, and then slowly removing the last little bit of moisture every day or so. It's called curing. And that's where you're going to keep that enzymatic breakdown, and that's where you're going to get your better flavors from. It's not going to happen in 72 hours.
Okay, my next concern is putting my cannabis, especially just picked, in an area where it's going to get possibly hot.
Yeah.
or air is going to be blowing it around. I'm worried about my terpenes volatilizing off or just kind of flying around inside of there.
They would definitely volatilize off if you used a regular food dehydrator.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they adjusted or gave this thing a different temperature setting. I don't think it gets that hot. Terpenes start to degrade off with heat. I think this is more of a circulation thing than a real heavy heat. So I think that's how they're getting away with not getting much terpene loss. And bro, nobody's more skeptical about these things than me. This is like the hell with your art, man. Just throw it in the microwave. But I have seen some information on this. I saw it on the internet, so take it with a grain of salt. But people were saying, or someone specific in the Grow Weed Easy forum was saying that they did half their harvest traditional drying, the other half in one of these fancy dryers, and then they sent it for terpene testing, and it was very similar terpenes. There was no degradation. So very interesting from a random person on the internet in a forum
that you can absolutely trust. All right, so these things, are they set on a timer? Is that how they work?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it's timer. And dude, don't trust the timer. All right, that should be the hashtag. Don't trust the timer.
I was going to say, how is the timer going to know the specifics of your particular bud?
How do it know? It don't know, man. That's why, and I imagine it's pretty easy to lift the lid. It's the same thing that I do when I open my tent to see if everything's ready to go in the cure jar. I'll do a little stem snap test. I'll see. It should have a little snap in it. It shouldn't snap bone dry and break in half. There still should be some moisture in there. And boy, I like that joint test. I like taking a little bud and just putting it in the grinder and then just seeing how does it stick to the grinder. Can I not get it out? Will it not even come close to smoking in a joint? When I can get it to where the joint will barely light with black ash, but I can still smoke a little bit, that's when it's ready for me to throw in my jars and start curing.
So it sounds like even when you have it in a pretty consistent, repeatable pattern like inside of your tent,
sure,
you're still not going off of a timer. You're still testing it and going off of the bud itself.
Absolutely. Man, I just had a thought while we're doing this. I can sometimes dry my plants in the tent if I'm not careful 4 or 5 days, and then I'm throwing them in the cured jar. I know that's not best practices, but 4 or 5 days, you can still get away with good tasting cannabis if you cure it correctly. Man, isn't it 92 hours, I think, the setting is for it? Mm-hmm. That's 4 days, right? Mm-hmm. So it's automating the process, I guess, but it's not really reinventing anything, right?
It's possibly slowing it down by 30% of the time, maybe.
Okay, yeah, all right, so.
Save some time, but you still got to worry about the cure.
Yes, definitely.
All right, let's take a look at this particular one from Herbs Now real quick. Can you show it to the viewers?
I will show it to the viewers. Looks like it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trays on there.
Okay, looking at it, the first thing that I think is if I have like those big giant colas, probably going to have trouble fitting them on there.
Yeah, this isn't for big harvest. I'm looking at a 2x4 tent. What do? I try to encourage everyone to grow their own, get a 2x4 tent. I will tell you that you get the harvest in a 2x4 tent. You got your significant other to be cool about it, and then you stink the whole house up drying. Man, that's kind of a bummer. I could see my wife being pretty bummed out about that. So the idea that you can consolidate, if you got a 2x4, you get 4, 6, 8 ounces out of at a time. I don't know what you could really fit in here, but that's what this is for.
So that size right there looks perfect for if you're going with a 2x4. You did mention the smell.
Yes.
Does it have something to help with that?
I'm laughing because you've come into this studio before and you're like, oh my, what? Come on, man, come on. So I have a carbon filter for mine, a decent sized carbon filter.
For the tent?
Yeah, for my 2x4 tent. They do have a carbon filter for this. I was reading about it, and it says I don't know. I would probably just go buy a simple carbon filter, a decent sized one from AC Infinity. They're cheap enough, and just run it inside, like right there. Yeah, they do have a carbon filter, but I'd use a bigger one.
Use one secondary to scrub the air.
Yeah. I think there's one that like fits on the top or something like that. Carbon uses its surface area to attract and to hold odor particles, so the more the better.
And then I know this always matters, humidity.
Sure.
Would this be something that would be better in Colorado, Florida? How do you judge that?
Like I said, haven't used it yet. From what I was reading around, it works better where there's some humidity in the air. what are we at, 15% humidity? Sometimes,
very much.
sometimes we're at 10% humidity in Colorado, right? Have to worry about your skin cracking off.
Yeah.
So if you're circulating 10% humidity air through here, it's going to react differently than if you're circulating 50% humidity air. So from what I'm to understand, these work better when there's a little bit of humidity in the air. You know, I'm thinking about it. I have a harvest coming up. I think it's 6 or 7 weeks from now, so it's a little bit away. When I harvest, though, I will take some, put it in here, and then compare it. I'll take the other half, or I don't know about the other half, the other 3/4, and throw it in my 2x4 tent over here. And let's compare. Let's hang out and have a little party in 6 weeks, huh? But what about you? Have you tried one of these? Are you gonna try one of these? If you tried one, what were the results? Come on, let me know in the comments. And if you liked this video, please hit the like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Share this video with another grower you know. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommending. High C knows you'll dig them.